On Twitter, I'm Tiffany Shlain, Shlain. Facebook, which is a very active Facebook page for the film, is Connected the Film, and it's amazing. We just launched it. There's already nearly 8,000 people who've seen the movie and are now talking about it online. Super fun. And those are the two places I'd send people.
So I've known of you for several years with your work with the Webbies.
Yeah.
And didn't realize that I had also known of your father's work.
Oh.
And so your movie made that connection for me.
Yeah.
And it was so obvious how much of his life has become your life. And it's interesting to see that film kind of unfold in much in the same way it seems your life has unfolded.
Yeah. I mean, Connected was my 8th film, and I never intended to make a personal film. I was making a film about the history of connectedness, where we are today and where I thought we were going. And then in the middle of making the film, my father was a co-writer, and he got very ill, and I suddenly was thinking a lot about emotional connectedness. So I really kind of switched gears and started integrating a more personal story within this bigger story of humanity's connectedness, my own story of connectedness. And, a lot of his ideas are in the film. And it's pretty great because the response to the film's been so wonderful, and a lot of people like you were big fans of his work and didn't make the connection between us, and they watched the movie, and it's like, or a lot of people are discovering his ideas for the first time. So I feel like, he's taught me so much, and he's taught people through his books, and now through the film, it's another way to extend some of his intellect and way of living.
In some ways, the film evolved to, at least from my perspective, almost be a part of his legacy.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really intended as that, but I think, you live on in the ideas you've imparted in the world and the people that love you, and in that sense, I share a lot of his ideas from his books and a lot of my love for him and our connectedness in order really to get at, in order to understand what is the human species' desire to connect so much. All of these tools, the iPhone and the computer, they're all about our desire to connect and our curiosity. So I felt like those two things I really had to get to the core of, which I had to do my own experience in order to get to these larger ideas. So the most exciting moments were when the global and the personal kind of click together, which happens in a number of places in the film. But it was an interesting journey.
Do you think that we're becoming increasingly disconnected as we become increasingly
I think
connected?
that's one of the, in the film, there's a lot of times I talk about this quote my dad used to use, which is it's by Sophocles, nothing vast enters the life of mortals without a curse. And the curse is that we're very distracted and pulled into a lot of directions. So my family and I, every Saturday, we do technology Shabbats. So we unplug Friday night for 24 hours from all screens. It's been totally profound and necessary for me as a mother, a wife, a friend, to be present, to have a kind of 24-hour period where there's no distractions. So I recommend trying it, and that was my own personal way of kind of combating the disconnection that so many technologies can lead to.
So where do you see this headed as we, as a society, and I think you touched upon this towards the end of the film, could you encapsulate, I guess, your vision of how this is going to potentially make us a better species on the planet?
Well, it's been proven throughout history that innovation happens when people lived in cities and more different perspectives were able to bump up against each other. Matt Ridley wrote this great book called The Rational Optimist about it. And so if you think about that, we've created this global framework. I mean, really, we've created a central nervous system for people from all different perspectives to come together around ideas. And we're just at the beginning of these collaborative tools online. And when I heard a couple weeks ago that these scientists, with the folding proton, they couldn't discover the DNA strand for AIDS, and then they put it online and allowed all these online gamers to go at this folding protein and they figured it out immediately.
That was actually at the University of Washington.
Oh, was it?
Faraz Khatib, and I had him speak at
Fantastic.
Gnomedex a couple of years ago about the game. And so it was interesting to see that kind of, there's
Really
my
cool.
connectedness to
That's
to,
cool.
to that.
I didn't know it was the University of Washington.
Yes.
Nice.
UW.
But that's just, the beginning. it's the beginning of what, I just made a collaborative film where I made it with people from all over the world, not connected, but this new short film I just released. So we're just at the beginning of the collaboration, and if we can, our goal with this film is to really trigger a global conversation, and we're having screenings all over the world, and we have a discussion kit, we have this very active Facebook discussion happening on Connected the Film, and our goal is let's talk about it. What's the potential here? Because we all know the news likes to point out the worst of it. That's all everyone focuses on. Well, there's a lot of potential, and if we can be mindful and direct it a little and talk about it, there's a lot of potential in that too.
So then, how would you, I guess, describe what's happening around, let's say, modern events being Occupy Wall Street, Arab Spring?
Yeah, these are all examples of people communicating with each other without a middleman, and a lot of power happening in that. And we're never going to go back to just gatekeepers of information. Just, the internet is the great equalizer. So many people that try to thwart it, they can't. That's what the power of the web is.
On my way over here, I actually saw Occupy Seattle as we were driving downtown.
Oh, really?
Snapped a picture of someone who is most likely representing Anonymous with a Guy Fawkes mask. Do you have any perspective on that? It's difficult to describe them as a community. It's more like anarchy combined with, anonymity.
Yeah,
is that powerful?
Well, I think there's a lot of, there's a couple things. I'm actually grateful that we're moving towards where people do attach themselves to their faces, because a lot of the web in the early days was really a lot about anonymity. And actually with Facebook and Google Plus, it's really going into a direction of attach your face with your comments and they're going to have more value. So you look at YouTube comments and it's who are these people? They're racist, they're immature, there's so much kind of flaming going on there. But again, I just believe we are in this huge human experiment. We're all trying to figure this out. We are evolving forward. All of these tools are very powerful and they have a lot of potential. So ultimately I'm an optimist. Believe that we're moving forward and that, any new technology throughout history has been disruptive. Everyone kind of learns to adjust and how to use it, and then we evolve. So it's an exciting time to be alive right now.
Is our evolution kind of going back into our role in nature instead of separating ourselves?
I go into that in the film,
yes.
That a lot of Western, it used to be in indigenous societies, cultures that we were one with the world, and a lot of Western thought, and I go into this in the film, is about kind of breaking things down and dividing things and classifying and separating. And I do think that we are having kind of a new renaissance in understanding connectedness. All these tools point to it. We use that term all the time. A link to this, we're connected, this is that. One of the reasons we call the film Connected is it's such a way that we exist now. So, and there's certainly, I'm from San Francisco, there's certainly been a, more conscious way of thinking about ourselves with nature. And we are, just as technology is not separate from us, nature isn't. We are all the same thing. Technology is not this separation, it's an extension of us. Just as we couldn't see far enough, we invented a telescope. Our brains could only grow a certain size, we invented a computer and then the internet, and these are like extensions to communicate and with our heart and our mind. So these are all just ways that we're evolving, and I think an evolution of thought is returning back to the understanding that we are kind of one, we are part of an ecosystem, everything we do affects everything, and no part is not important in that. You change something in a system, it affects everything. And that, the film really brings about a lot of kind of re-looking at systems thinking for the 21st century with all of these tools.
Well, it brought to light a lot of things that I've kind of known and understood, and I can only imagine other people who are equally as connected would make the same conclusions.
It's been exciting. The responses have been really exciting in the theater. I feel like everyone's ready to have this conversation. So it's been great. And, that's really our goal, is to trigger a conversation. So many good things. The ripple effect of people talking about things is always good.
Well, we'll make conversation.
Yeah.
Or I'll do my best.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.